Welcome back. The application process is now open for the third annual Freedom to Liberty flight for veterans of the global war on terror. Missions of Honor opened the process this past Saturday, and applications will be accepted until March 15th. This October, the nonprofit will take up to
New
60
York City on
global
Thursday.
war on terror veterans to New York for the third time. They'll tour the 9/11 Memorial and Museum and meet with first responders and survivors. This is called the Mission of Healing, which has certainly proved to be the case on the first two trips. And we welcome in Jason Foster. He is on the Missions of Honor Board of Directors. This will be the third trip you guys take to New York. What have you learned in the first two?
Yes, thank you very much, first of all, Chris,
Sure.
for having us here. It is an extreme honor and pleasure to represent Missions of Honor. The first trip, I'll be honest, I didn't sign up at first because I have the extreme honor of attending other flights with our older veterans, and I got a lot of push, and I'm glad I got that push because the healing, the camaraderie that happened in those 3.5 days in New York City, it reminded a lot of us that are out of the military that we are not alone. We realized a lot of connections with the NYPD, the FDNY, Port Authority, where 9/11 started, with absolute respect to Washington, D.C. and Shanksville, Pennsylvania, Flight 93. But it was a big reminder that it's all right to tell your stories. It's all right to share. It's all right to let those emotions out.
We've talked on this program and others about the impact it had on the veterans on that trip. I mean, you literally saved lives on that trip, and we're going to get into that in just a second. But I'm curious if what it has done for the organization in terms of how we set up the trips in the future, how we set up our organization in the future from things that you learned on that trip.
Yeah, so we created Missions of Honor. We did the first Freedom to Liberty tour under the Old Glory Honor
Correct.
Flight umbrella, and we fall under a national hub. So there's certain rules which absolutely we got to take care of our World War II, Korea, Vietnam vets. But I think as a country, we've kind of failed our service members because by the time many of these monuments, memorials get built, those veterans are no longer with us. So we wanted to change that. And we did this mission, and after we did that first one in New York City, there was no way we weren't going to do it again.
The mental health aspect of this, besides getting to see the memorials, it really has become the number one goal here. And as you guys sift through the statistics, and I can throw a bunch at you for veteran suicide, I'm sure you're very well
Yes.
aware of them. It is a very, very high rate. 20 straight years of over 6,000 plus veteran suicides, that according to StopSoldierSuicides.org. The rate for this age group, 18 to 35, double what it is for the civilian population of that same age group. So it is a big, big problem. And it's not something you folks shy away from, is it?
No, not at all. Saving one suicide is one too many. Any impact that we can make, during that first mission, we had board members that were approached by veterans that said, this weekend you saved a life. You can't put a price tag on that.
Right.
Again, our mission, our job, with many, many different titles, if you will, and what we want to do, absolutely saving a life, letting them know again, it is all right to reach out for those resources. It is all right to let what's been inside of you, let it out. All right, we are here to assist. If not, we are here to point you in the right direction for the resources.
Is it important to note that it's not just on this trip that this organization is there to point out those resources? How does it work year-round for you guys?
Yeah, so we fortunately, those trips are a reminder of we may feel alone, but those trips remind us we're not alone.
Right.
And when you bring those groups together, those veterans throughout Northeast Wisconsin, we continue to have monthly breakfasts together. The GWAT veterans that will come out to Old Glory Honor Flight events to support fundraising there. In the resources, the veterans, they have different phone numbers that they can reach out to one of us. One of us are going to know the right path to take or the right number to call, or maybe it's just they need an ear to listen to, and we are continuing to provide with each mission more and more of those resources.
Do you have evidence, or whether it be anecdotal or empirical, but that these veterans that you've reached on these trips that you continue to have breakfast with are also reaching out and spreading what you folks can do? So in other words, they become a conduit for you folks.
Yes, kind of like ambassadors as well too.
Sure, yeah.
An easy way to say it, because we live in the social media world, right? Anytime we have a post, you can see it's being shared.
So let me ask you this, because you said you're trying to remind people it's okay to talk. These trips have become very popular. It's a reason we're talking about that the application process is open and it runs through March 15th, so that veterans who want to go can get on the list and hopefully make this trip. So it's popular, but is it popular enough Do you have a sense that there are still folks out there that need convincing?
I would say yes. I think very similar to our past era veterans, they think that a seat is not safe for them, or not safe for them. A seat is, they are not deserving of a seat. One thing I always say, we have a choice whether we want to join or not. After that, the military is going to tell you what you're going to do.
Right.
You did what very few people have done, respectfully. You deserve a flight. You deserve a seat on that flight, whether it's this year's mission, next year's mission.
All right, Jason, let's finish on this because, again, it's about getting the awareness out there that the window is open to apply to make this trip. It's coming up in October, the 2nd through the 5th. So folks that apply now in this window, when will they find out? What is your timeline for determining who's going?
Yep, so they will find out. So we do a vetting process. All right, it is a random selection on how they are drawn. Okay. We have a few hands on board, and we really do thoroughly go through each application. And the thing, too, we tell with...
What do you look for in those applications?
A lot of it is your why. What's your why? Why Missions of Honor? Why Freedom to Liberty? You know what? Yep. Why do you want to go on this trip? And I'm not saying there's certain answers we are looking for. Not at all. We want it to be purposeful. We want it to have a meaning. We want it to help, in the healing process. Yeah. Maybe there are some that are doing fine mental health, behavioral health wise, and that's outstanding as well too. And yes, we are looking for individuals like that as well too. It's just continuing to help build the awareness and help building that veteran community here in Northeast Wisconsin.
Well, Jason, thanks so much for sharing your thoughts. Good luck with the trip, the vetting process, and again, it's coming up on October 2nd. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Chris.
All right, if you are a Global War on Terror veteran and interested in applying for the trip this October, you can find the information to do so on our website at WBAY.com.